is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to Omar BYT, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys. Frenkie de Jong, guys. Frenkie de Jong, one of my favorite Barcelona players in the Barcelona squad. Also, one of the most frustrating players who's ever played for my club. But yeah, guys, he has been having so far a very good season at the club, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like finally after almost 6 years at Barcelona, I feel like we're beginning to see the best out of Frenkie de Jong under Hansi Flick. And honestly, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. Like I mentioned, I remember when we signed Frenkie de Jong from Ajax, thinking, yo, we're signing one of the next big things when it comes to the midfield. I believe that we finally secured our future. We're securing our future for who's the next generation in the midfield. And he came in with a lot of hype when he arrived. You know, he's been okay. He's not been bad. He's been okay, and he's been doing a good job since he arrived at the club. And I would personally say for the first two and a half seasons at the club, everything looked okay. He wasn't pulling any fingers. He wasn't doing anything wrong. You know, I wasn't calling him out. I wasn't stressing out on anything. And he was just okay. And I would say around 2022 is when things really started to turn for Frenkie de Jong, right? We started to see, I guess, an attempt from the club to try to push him out. They were trying to sell him to Manchester United, I vividly remember. And, you know, he was standing his ground. He didn't want to leave. He was happy in Barcelona. He was happy to stay. He felt like he had stuff to prove at the club. He had a point to prove. He believed that he wanted to make it at the club and he wanted to be a Barca legend. And you know, that whole season, I remember there was so much, how do I put this? There was so much pressure on Frenkie de Jong to move. But he stuck his ground and he stuck around. And we went on in the 22-23 season to win the league. And fair play to de Jong. He actually played well that season. I was very, very impressed with him. He did okay. You know, I wouldn't even say okay. I think that was probably his best season at the club so far. Right? He didn't pull any strings, but he was actually one of our most integral players in the team. And I will never forget, man. He looked like he was back. Everything looked great. And then I remember the following season, the same thing happened. Once again, it looked like Frenkie de Jong's future wasn't at the club anymore. There was so much drama. So many things were happening. Was he staying? Was he going? And once again, it was becoming frustrating. And honestly, for me, I was just tired of watching the whole saga continue, right? And de Jong started the season, and to be fair, he did not have a good start to the season. Let's just call it out for what it is. He did not have a good start to the season. He was poor. He was poor. And he had so many injury problems. He had so many issues. And not to mention, the club were trying to basically renew his contract, and he was ignoring the club. And it wouldn't become an issue last season, but it looked like it was something that was going to become an issue in the future. And I personally thought that perhaps maybe it's because de Jong might have kind of seen that maybe his future long term wasn't with the club, and maybe he would have left during last summer. And in the end, he did end up suffering an injury at the end of last season, and he was out for most of this season. So the whole thing just went quiet. And there was so much rumors, there was so much talk. The club were kind of forcing him to do an operation on his injury so that he could come back sooner. But de Jong opted against doing the surgery and said he was just going to let it naturally heal. Now, I remember when this happened, me thinking, he's just delaying his return, right? At the end of the day, I understand it's an injury. I'm not going to hate on a guy for injuring, but I just thought, just take the surgery and come back sooner and come back relatively fresh. Do not do what someone like Umtiti did when he refused to do the surgery, and long term it affected his career. Right? Don't do that, right? And I thought that was the path he was walking, but he came back from injury, and to be fair, he hasn't had any injuries since. He's been fine, thank God. And he was slowly getting back into the squad. Everything looked like he was going well, and then once again, we are back with the Young drama. Once again, De Jong, the club decided to withdraw their contract offer. And all of a sudden, it looked like his future was no longer in the club. And at that point, I'm going to be very honest, I had enough. I had enough. I said, you know what? It's over. It's done. I get it. You clearly don't have your mind you clearly can't make up your mind. Do you want to be here? Do you not want to be here? The club has given you the offer. You haven't responded. You haven't even said you were going to either sign or not sign. So the club made the decision for him. And it looked like it was over. It looked like it was over. It looked like, we could even sell him as soon as January for 21 million, I remember. But January came and January went and De Jong was still at the club. And to be fair, since December, or I would say around late December, early January, things started to change. Hansi Flick began to change De Jong's style in the team. He started playing him more as a defensive midfielder slash deep line playmaker, or Roman playmaker basically. And I'm not going to lie, De Jong really started playing well. In fact, he was playing so well that the guy who was starting for most of the season, Marc Casado, ended up getting benched. That's how good De Jong has been playing. And De Jong has kept his head down. He looks happy. You could see he's enjoying his football, which is something I'm not going to lie. I honestly can't say that for sure that he has been probably since the year we won the league. Right? You can see he's slowly getting back into the team. He's obviously one of our leaders. He's one of the captains, right? And he was doing such an amazing job that there has been talks that, the club were going to offer him a new contract. And, even he looked like he was more open now to the idea of staying. I feel like he finally feels settled now under Hansi Flick. I feel like maybe because he felt like maybe Hansi Flick might not have trusted him, that maybe he had two minds. But I feel like now that Hansi Flick has kind of shown that he trusts De Jong, we are still getting, and De Jong has been playing a lot of football, and he's been actually playing well and become one of our best players throughout 2025. He's finally been more open to maybe seeing how the future holds with Hansi Flick. And I know that the club has offered him a new deal. They've actually offered him, they've reached out to him. Now De Jong hasn't signed the contract, but I think now at this point the club are just giving him this contract for him to ponder for the rest of the season. And like I mentioned, I think De Jong is one of our best players if he's fit. When he's at his best, he's one of our best midfielders. That's why I still believe in De Jong. For me, I'm just frustrated because I believe in him so much. And just so much drama that goes with it is what really irritates me and why I wanted him gone. Not because I didn't rate him as a player. I just feel like it's just so much drama that I just didn't want to hear anymore because it was lasting for way too many seasons. But I think that when it comes to De Jong, he has what it takes. And I think that if he finds his system like he's finding his system now under Flick, come on. At the end of the day, I would love for us to keep De Jong. I want De Jong to stay. I want De Jong to succeed at Barcelona. But it's really up to him. And, the club are going to have to do what they have to do. But as far as I'm concerned, I think that personally for me, he's really beginning to prove me wrong. I think that we are really beginning to see the best out of Frenkie de Jong. And at the end of the day, the sky is the limit. If he does well for the club, all of us Barcelona fans win. So I'm just hoping, he can keep his head down. And hopefully at the end of the season, when everything has settled down, he can sign the new contract and we can just move away from this saga for next season. Because if he doesn't sign, I'm sure the club will probably put him in the market. And at that point, honestly, guys, even if he plays well as he's been playing, I would understand it. Because you don't want to deal with this drama next season. His contract runs out in 2026. The club have to do what they have to do. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and like I always say, whenever we do these streams, Visca el Barça, Visca el Catalunya, and peace, you guys. Take care.